Walter Lester Henry Jr., black physician and endocrinologist. Walter Lester Henry had a long and distinguished career at Howard University as a physician, educator, and researcher. In particular, he conducted important research into the function of insulin and the causes of diabetes. Henry, known as Lester, was born in Philadelphia on November 19th, 1915, to Walter Lester Henry Sr. and Vera Robinson Henry. He was educated in Philadelphia and received his Bachelor of Arts degree from Temple University in 1936. From there, he went on to Howard University Medical School, where he graduated first in his class in 1941. He married the former Ada Palmer. Henry served in the United States Marine Corps during the Second World War, attaining the rank of major and winning the U.S. Army Bronze Star. Upon his return, he went into practice, joining the faculty of Howard's Medical School in 1953 as an assistant professor. He later became associate professor and in 1962 was named chair of the Department of Medicine, a position he held until 1973. He was named a full professor in 1963 and was named the John B. Johnson Professor of Medicine in 1973, a post he held until his retirement in 1988. It was in the field of diabetes research that Henry made his greatest contribution to medicine. According to Ebony magazine, he was considered, quote, dean, unquote, of the nation's roughly 24 black physicians specializing in diabetes. As an endocrinologist, he examined the role of insulin in the body and explored the many causes of diabetes to determine which might be preventable. Henry was particularly interested in the onset of diabetes among blacks, who have a proportionately higher percentage of sufferers. What he tried to do was find out whether there was a natural predisposition for blacks to become afflicted with diabetes. His research showed that the higher proportion of blacks who developed the disease was related more to diet and exercise than other causes. Blacks and those of any race whose diets are high in rich foods full of sugar, starch, and carbohydrates gain weight, a key trigger for diabetes. As they gain weight, they become less active. The combination of obesity and sweet or fatty foods is almost a formula for diabetes. There is no doubt, Henry said in a 1979 interview with Ebony, quote, that when people become obese, they become insulin resistant, and they are, in a sense, digging their graves with their teeth, unquote. Some people do have a genetic predisposition to diabetes, but as Henry pointed out, the high rate of diabetes among black Americans stands in stark contrast to the relatively low rate among Africans. The reason? African native diets were low in the foods that trigger diabetes. In his book, The Black Health Library Guide to Diabetes, Henry notes that the Bantu of Tanzania have traditionally had one of the world's lowest rates of diabetes, around 1%. But when rural Africans such as the Bantu move to the city, their lifestyle often changes radically. He continues, they give up their traditional diet and learn to enjoy Western favorites, refined white bread, meats, sweets, alcohol. Interestingly, he adds, slaves in 18th and 19th century America, whose diets were far from rich, had very little diabetes. Henry worked to help educate people about the causes of diabetes, but also how to minimize or even prevent the disease. He also conducted research to find ways for the body to use insulin more efficiently, since diabetes is often caused by the inability to use the otherwise adequate amount of insulin being secreted. This research was important in identifying possible ways to treat severe diabetes without subjecting the sufferer to daily injections of insulin. In addition to his research and practice, Henry was active in a number of professional organizations, including the American Board of Internal Medicine, the American College of Physicians, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and the Howard University Board of Trustees. In 1974, he became the first black regent of the American College of Physicians. He was also the first Black to receive the college's Master Award in 1987 and was named a college laureate in 1993. Even after retirement, Henry has continued to be active in providing information about diabetes and its treatment and prevention. Citations are in the description.